Let's have a look at the front pages before we review the newspapers. FT, first of all, reports on the arrest warrants issued in Turkey for building developers. It comes as the earthquake death toll passes 34,000 fatalities.
The Guardian leads with Labour condemning the so-called catalogue of waste on government credit cards.
Daily Mail talks of a secret plot to unravel Brexit as senior politicians stage secret Brexit summits.
The Metro is reporting on the increasing pressure for the BBC chairman to step down as Boris Johnson loan scandal rumbles on.
And let's go through the newspapers. We're joined by Dawn Neeson and Christopher Biggin. Biggins, we're talking about...
You're on form, Eamonn, that's good.
We were talking about how to greet someone. I know in your world, kissing and hugging.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, we did cheeks, didn't we?
We did cheeks.
Yes.
But have you
When do you
kissed?
do lips?
Yeah, when do you lips?
When I'm in love with someone.
Yes.
That's the only time.
That is the only time I would do lips.
So if you saw Harry Styles now and he was about to pucker up, you would go, no thanks, I'll do a hug.
Well, Harry Styles.
There's always an exception to the rules.
Tell us about you and Harry.
No, I mean, of course I wouldn't kiss him. No, on the lips.
You
no.
see, I would.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, but you're a bit of a Watson, aren't you?
That's how hypocritical you are. You wouldn't kiss me on the lips, but you would
No,
kiss
I'm quite
outside.
choosy about who I kiss on the lips. I'm not joking. If Harry Styles was there and he came up and he wanted to give a bit of a kiss as a little welcome, I would go right up to that.
Can I ask you all
I would not
Harry Styles?
deter him.
What is it about Harry Styles? Every woman I know goes weak about Harry Styles.
No.
Yet he is, okay, Dawn, but he has this thing where he is, I don't know how you would describe him. His sexuality is...
Asexual.
Asexual.
Yes.
But yet, why do women find him in general, the idea of him, so sexy?
I think because they can't have him.
No, they can have him.
No, I don't think they can.
What do you
So many
mean?
have had him.
What do you mean?
He likes the yummy mummies, doesn't he, as well?
Yeah,
Does
but
he?
I think it's because he is so confident with who he is that women find that confident. But it's not toxic masculinity. It's masculinity that is appealing. It's
Sexuality rather than masculinity.
but he doesn't care. He's confident. If he's got a big bow wrapped around his neck, it doesn't mean he's less of a man. And I love all of that, Dawn.
I wouldn't snog him, put it that way, for a start. I mean, Harry Styles, I mean, he's just ripping off everything Mick Jagger and David Bowie did decades ago. To
That's all right. He's just putting a twist on it.
New, and I mean, this all. I think it annoys. You might be able to help out on this, Biggins.
Yes.
A lot of my gay friends, he annoys them because it's like all this faux gay pretense thing, because it's not, it's quite clearly very heterosexual, and he annoys my gay friends again. Just be yourself, stop pretending to be something you're not to sell yourself.
But it doesn't annoy me. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I thought actually as we're talking now about the awards the other night, I thought it was a fiasco.
Did you, right?
Yes.
Which awards? These are the Brit Awards.
The Brit Awards, which were terrible.
Why?
Well, there was no one could speak.
They were all intoxicated.
Well, they're intoxicated, and also they just don't have an education. Any of these pop stars, they just talk rubbish.
Well, they're creative, aren't they?
Oh,
they're
come on, don't you
creative. They're artists.
Yes. I'm bummed.
I'd like to start, if we go to the papers, the Daily Mail, you can feel their pain. They're screaming out the front of the Daily Mail today. Secret plot to unravel Brexit.
Oh, dear.
Senior politicians and business chiefs stage a summit on future links with Europe. Top Tory who helped get the EU deal warns off this secret plot to unravel Brexit. And this is from Lord Frost. What do you think, Biggins?
Well, I just think it's, it's another... What annoys me at the moment is that in politics, they're all fighting each other. Why? We're in a terrible situation. We are in a terrible situation. There's a terrible situation in Turkey. I mean, we should be thinking more along those lines than worrying about this Brexit, which has been going on forever, and now they want to unravel it all. And it's. I just think it's.
Do they want to unravel it, or is the difference between that and having closer trading and business links with the European Union?
Well, that's what I think they should be.
Well, this meeting, it was in a country house meeting in Ditchley Park in Chipping-Norton in Oxford, and David Lammy was there, Michael Gove was there, and it was titled, the title of it actually was How We Can Make Brexit Work Better with Our Neighbours in Europe. So they're not really talking about unravelling it, it's how it's been interpreted by the Daily Mail. But as Lord Frost has said, Brexit doesn't need fixing, it just needs a Conservative government. So he's having a go at how it's being handled.
Dawn, could we go to the Eye, front page of the Eye, and we've already been talking about this in the programme today. UK rivers, Sunak facing Tory rebellion over sewage in rivers. So what's this all about?
Well, you've already covered it very well and explained it very well. I mean, this is a bonfire of the EU regulations, 4,000 rules that we have that we are now trying to unravel. But, you know, of all the rules that, you know, I particularly think that one can go, it's just too much red tape. The bathing water regulations and our water framework directive are two that I thought were quite important. It's about keeping basically water clean in this country. And we know we have this horrible problem with many of our water companies literally leaking sewage on a daily basis into our rivers and our seas. And getting away with it.
The deals with the utility companies, the water companies, is too cosy from my point of view. It's, you know, they're allowed to do very little, claim that all the pipes are Victorian standard, and yet just hand out so much money in terms of dividend to their shareholders without digging holes in the ground, without making reservoirs and making things better. And this whole idea, Biggins, that the water around our coastlines, that rivers, Sarah, it really annoys you, doesn't it?
It does, because I'm actually, and you are as well, we're ambassadors for the Canal and River Trust, and, you know, the whole point for them is to keep our rivers, waterways clean.
Of course.
They were huge, they were so important for many people during lockdown, for mental health reasons, families walking along there. And then you just think the government are just going to, you know, just allow our waterways just to be free for all.
Which is disgraceful.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgraceful. They should be doing something about it. This is what I said earlier. You know, why aren't they doing things that are important, the government, rather than infighting with everybody? I mean, I just think they should be doing something.
So we've also got now on the front page of The Guardian, Labour condemns a catalogue of waste on government credit cards. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I didn't know they had credit cards, or rather, we gave them credit cards. So let me get this right. Is this is money they can spend on anything, or is it just business?
It's relating to their work, isn't it? Yeah.
And who pays that? Do they pay it, or do we pay it?
It's taxpayers'
money.
And do you think that's a good idea?
Well, you see, I think these things are easy to criticise. It's like people's tax affairs. Unless you know exactly what's going on or what is a justifiable expense or not, I think it's very easy to condemn everything outside. Oh, they shouldn't have any credit cards, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that. We don't know is the thing. And if you see a hotel room down at 300 quid, how do we know if that was the only alternative left?
But do we agree that Rishi Sunak's Treasury Department spent over 3,000 on photographs to hang on the walls when he was Chancellor? What do we think about that? Because I think we shouldn't spend £3,000 on stuff like that.
On the face of it, it does seem ridiculous, doesn't it?
You know,
I agree with the point you made earlier on, actually, about sort of like, you know, they spent, what was it, £4,500 on hotel rooms in Venice. Well, I want them to stay in, I don't want them to stay in a local sort of like, you know, highway chain or anything. I want them to stay in a fairly decent hotel. You can't have the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of any country staying in a Travelodge, can you? They have to stay in decent accommodation where there's a security issue as well.
Absolutely,
So on the face of it, it sounds like, oh my God, they're spending so much money on hotels. But realistically, it's sensible for them to do so. But I mean, it's like, you know, the civil servants of 14 of the 15 main departments spent nearly £150 million on these credit cards. And that has gone up by a huge amount, 70% since 2010. But they were originally introduced in 1997 by the Labour Party, but the Labour Party are now starting a website where you can monitor how much is being spent on government credit cards, which you pay for, taxpayers pay for.
Yeah, but I just don't agree that, you know, the public should be experts on these. I look at the £3,000 for the artwork, and I think that places like 10 Downing Street, they are accessible to leaders all around the world, and they should look the part. They really should.
Yes, absolutely.
And they don't, actually, if you've ever been in Downing Street. But I do think that the government has access to all the country's national treasures. They could go to the museums and say,
Yeah.
any chance of lending us?
Oh, they
That's
do.
right.
They do that. But the 10 Downing Street do have all the art galleries across the country give art each. And I think it's every 3 months they change the art there.
Well, number 11 should be doing it as well. Then,
Yes.
On that.
We just need, when you see figures like this on their own, it makes your blood boil, but
Yes.
we need some context around it.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
think that's the most important
No, you're
thing,
right.
because otherwise people are just going to, you know, whilst we're living through these crises
Yeah.
of food, bills, etc., and we're
Yeah.
reading £3,000 on photographs, that's my money going on.
It's
we need context.
The two extremes of the papers. I
Yeah.
mean, the Daily Mail going on about the Brexit, they're trying to do Brexit, which is what the Daily Mail's put on us to do, and the Guardian going, oh, the government's spending too much of your money, which is exactly what the Guardian are meant to do. So,
Yeah.
but as you say, you need the context in play for those stories.
Christopher and Dawn, we're going to finish on the Turkey situation, Syria. When we say Turkey, we've got to remember Syria is involved in all
Absolutely.
this as well. And the building standards, Christopher, we're a week on, and these buildings just seem to have crumbled like biscuits.
But I'm under the impression, and you may be able to help me here, that in fact they did a tax.
That's right, earthquake tax.
Earthquake tax, which, where's that money gone?
Yeah.
It hasn't been spent, and I believe it's tens of millions. In fact, it could be
Spending
billions.
it now, I bet too late.
And it is every day I watch the news and I cry.
Yeah.
You see grown men screaming,
Yeah.
and people being brought out. I mean, the woman who was brought out after 10 days or what it was from the rubble, and children, babies. I mean, it is just harrowing.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how they can hold their heads
Dawn,
up.
what about the standard of the buildings? The Financial Times is taking this one up.
Yeah, they have. Well, Turkish authorities have issued 113 developers fines, basically, because loss of life has been made worse by the level of building standards. I mean, you know, they are given money to ensure that building standards are earthquake-proof, and they just haven't been doing it. They have been, like, shoddy workmanship, and that is why so many people, and what we're up to, 29,000, over 29,000 now, and we don't know what's going on in Syria. Once we start getting the information through from Syria properly,
Well,
it's
they
going to
reckon
be even worse.
the death toll could reach 50,000.
It's just horrendous.
Horrendous.
You know, the one thing I just want to say about this, because it is very, very sad, hard news on a daily basis, but it's the way humanity has reacted, the way everybody is helping, that we are working together, and as you say, Biggins, the people out there are digging with their bare hands. It's quite heartwarming the way we are all together in this, compared to all the doom and gloom that's going on all over the world.
No, I mean, when you see those shots of people saying, right, quiet, and they have to go quiet because they think they can hear something, and then they can, and then there's an excitement, and they bring someone out, and everybody is beyond thrilled. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. I think
Guys,
it's
got to leave it there. Dawn and Christopher will be back in 40 minutes' time with more from the papers.
Now,